3, 4.
Live from the Plutopia News Network, this is the Plutopia Happy Hour. Our guest tonight is Cidny Bullens, returning, and we're really glad to have you here. The unusual suspects are here. Susie Sheeler, I'm Scoop Sweeney, and my partner in crime over there is John Lebkowski.
Right on. Hello, everybody.
Hey,
Great to be here. Great to be here.
I'm so excited. The last time we had you on, it was in 2020. I think we were all still in lockdown.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
It's
and
very
I
familiar,
think,
though, to be in these boxes now. We use these boxes all the time now, don't we still?
I know, but I mean, I'm thinking, okay, so if you look up, I'm going to look down. Okay. Are you seeing that the way I'm seeing it? Like the Brady Bunch thing?
Yes.
Would
yes.
that work? Okay.
I like that. I like that.
So when you were here last, let's see, when we were locked down, you had just released, I think you had just released the gender line.
Yes.
And also there was I want to say a biopic, just a short, maybe a
The
short
Gender
film.
Line. There was a documentary short called The Gender Line.
It was also called The Gender Line.
Yes, okay. Yes. And can I say something about the record for a minute?
Oh, please. The new one?
I did release out of the backseat of my car a record called Walking Through This World in 2020.
Yes.
And it did have the song, and does have the song, The Gender Line. But guess what?
What?
It's going to be re-released.
Yes.
And a different package in this
so
year
cool.
on Kill Rock Stars Records,
which is no way.
Yes, and we're going to repackage, and it's going to, and very soon actually, there's a new track that's going to be on, which is a duet between me and Beth Nielsen Chapman,
Texan,
called Not With You, and that's going to come out very soon. I think in the next few weeks. We did a video for it, and it's going to be added to the album, and the album is now going to be called Little Pieces, and it's going to be on Kill Rock Stars, and I'm really very excited about it because I put it out in the middle of the pandemic, and this will give it a chance to be heard.
That's fantastic.
Farther and
That's
wider.
so cool.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Well, given the state of politics here in Texas, that's an appropriate thing to be coming out, because we have some very uncool people that have been saying a lot of bad things, and it's nice to have some positive things being said and sung.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, I live in Tennessee, so we're not. We're not far behind. But
welcome to the club.
Y'all might be ahead a step.
Yeah, we're kind of in the epicenter of the anti everything.
What is up with the drag queen thing?
It got defeated. It got defeated in federal court. They are the state of the drag queen bill. For those of you who don't know, was the bill that was the state of Tennessee signed into law, which didn't become law, but signed into law that prohibited drag shows here in the state of Tennessee. Caused a lot of controversy, but the bill, which I actually read because I got asked to do an interview about my thoughts about it here in town, and so I had to read the bill. The bill was so broad that it would have been illegal for me to perform in Nashville, and because I don't wear the clothes of my birth gender.
That sounds like some of the requirements that the Texas laws have been trying to come up with. And it's just, even some of the Republicans realize it's really strange that what they're trying to do.
It's a little insane, to be honest with you. I mean, if my wife wears a flannel shirt and jeans and walks down the street singing, and
that is not
it a public
gender affirming clothing.
Yeah,
and that's so who decides? That's the
exactly
question. Who is the arbiter of gender affirming clothing? Like just in Kansas this weekend, I think this woman took her autistic son into the bathroom with her, and they got thrown out under the anti-trans thing. Nobody was trans. The kid needed help, and it's just what is this hate?
So what does that mean? So if a parent takes a child of the opposite gender into a bathroom, a little child or is
It
under
has to
12,
change
let's
a
say,
change a
have to
diaper.
change. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I don't get
It's-
it. And I heard, I just have to ask this because you
Okay.
guys are in Texas.
Yes, we are.
So I heard that there was a law that men can't wear makeup now on stage in Texas.
Oh, whoa.
I don't think that's right.
You
Yeah,
don't?
Let me
That's
see.
why I'm asking. I
Let
want
me
to
just
find
I'm
out.
say,
check.
it wouldn't fucking surprise me.
Yeah, I mean,
they might try.
I'd love to find out if that's true or not, because that would mean that Kiss couldn't play in
Right. I was
Tennessee,
just thinking about Kiss.
you
Well,
know,
the Rolling
or
Stones
any,
did not.
or who, yeah, or who.
And does that
who?
go for actors too? I mean,
I guess so, but that would have been it.
blows my
See, that's in
mind.
Tennessee too. If this drag bill had been passed, it would have meant that no stage perform, like let's say Mrs. Doubtfire as a play could not be shown in Nashville, could not play in Nashville if that were
Oh
the
my
case. So it was struck
God.
down by a federal judge and here just last week, and the state is appealing, but I my feeling is it won't.
But
go
well,
through.
yeah, because it's First Amendment, and it's.
Exactly.
I mean, aside from all the other issues that are gender-based, drag queens alone are wearing costumes.
Yeah.
They aren't even. They don't walk down the street. This is a performance. This is art. It's not something that should offend anyone.
And let me tell you that I mean, I have not attended a lot of drag queen performances in my life.
I've
mean,
seen
I've
a
been to
few.
a couple, but straight people, tourists go to see drag. I mean, remember the Liza Minnelli, drag queens in the New York,
The birdcage.
Yeah, the birdcage and all that. I mean, it's an art form. Listen, Shakespeare only used men in
Yep.
his plays. Women weren't allowed to perform back then. That's another law that was there. But men dressed up as women. It's been going on since time began. And, so it really is ridiculous in the real sense of that word, that, like you say, who's going to police our clothing and who we think we are. And there are many drag queens who are not transgender. There are
exactly.
some who are and some who aren't. And
Yeah.
there are many women who dress up as men who wear men's clothing and who are not transgender. So
if it's against the law for that kind of dress, Monty Python's Flying Circus would have been executed. I mean,
that's right.
They did it for years and years and
That's
years.
right.
In New York and in Houston, and I'm not sure about Austin. And I'm sure, but I do know that it probably was everywhere else. But I know specifically in New York and in Houston, you had to wear 3 pieces of gender affirming clothing, or you could be arrested. So, and zippers if it was a zipper in the front, that's male clothing. So when the cops would come into the bars, and this would happen a lot, apparently, this is according to my friend Ray Hill, who was there back then. All the would run to the bathroom and turn their pants around so they wouldn't be arrested.
Yeah, it was illegal a long time ago, not that long ago, and we don't want it to be again. I mean, and the kids, my faith in the youth. I have 4 grandchildren, and 2 are teenagers and 2 are young, 4 and 7. And, they're not going back. My stepdaughter is 25. They're not going back to the cavemen, to the Middle Ages, whatever age you want to call it. There may be restrictions in place, in states, I mean, but it's not going to last forever.
I hope not. I certainly hope not, because people don't need to tell us what to do with our body. The government doesn't need to tell us what to do with our bodies.
Well, yeah, we could get into a whole thing about Roe v. Wade,
Okay.
having 2 young granddaughters, and a stepdaughter, but it's draconian, all of
It
it.
is. It is. I mean, and I think it also it moves into the queer space as well, you know.
Absolutely.
The way these kind of so-called laws get put together, it seems like they don't really think it through entirely because, my wife is disabled and she is in a wheelchair. So I am always taking her into public bathrooms to assist. And under some of these laws that they've proposed here in Texas, I would be a criminal. I don't feel like a criminal, but
Yeah. Well, they don't
if you're
think them
doing the right
through.
thing, you could get arrested for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah, that's right. They don't think it through, and yet they do. They know what they want, and that's the restriction. They know, and we could get it. We could we could talk about this for the whole
you're right.
podcast,
You're right.
but it's I will tell you that I felt very hopeless after the drag queen bill passed here back in March. I think it was March or early April. Well, it passed in April, but it was proposed in March. And I really got upset and scared and just hopeless for a little while. And then Texas was going through its own things, and Florida and Missouri and Idaho and Montana and all these states suddenly. And by the way, there are over 500 anti-trans bills right now. And
and this kind of
right now in all the states, not all the states, but like 30 something states.
This goes back to this thing that they've been working on for several years. Republicans sort of stacking the courts with conservative judges because they now feel some confidence that they can get these laws validated by the courts, that the challenges to these laws are going to be fruitless. It remains to be seen. I mean, just today we saw the Supreme Court,
Alabama,
strike down the Alabama gerrymandering. So
me too. And it was a Trump appointed federal judge here who struck down the drag queen bill. And we can only hope that those who are really not or who do want to rule by the rule of law and really do believe in the Constitution, not the fake Constitution, that they will be more struck down. But it's a scary time. It really is.
I mean, there's always a possibility too that Clarence Thomas and Alito are closeted drag queens.
I love those pictures that went around. Did you see those pictures that went around? There were photos. If you haven't seen them, I'll send them to you. Okay. It's photos of like Clarence Thomas and Greg Abbott and Ted Cruz, all of them in full drag. Someone has done a beautiful Photoshop job of these guys.
I did see some of those, and I'm not sure it was those guys, but it was like Matt Gaetz, and I think they're doing it to everybody. Trump and Pence. I saw one.
Are you sure they were photoshopped?
Yes.
Well, I'm thinking back to my college days. There were a lot of fraternities, and they did a lot of stuff, having their pledges dress up in drag, or the sororities were having the women dress up in male clothing, and it was just all good fun. All of a sudden, it's evil. Yeah. I just think we can get to a point where we can have a show like this, and we wouldn't even need to be talking about this stuff. It would just be, you're a musician, we're talking to you, and no one is angry about anything. But yeah, I'm afraid that's a ways off, but one can only hope.
Well, I think we had a little bit of a time when we thought about that. I mean, we've always had issues here, and there's always been issues across the globe, but right now I think it's a critical time. I really do. And being a transgender person right now, is when I transitioned 11 years ago, and I was in Maine at the time. I lived in Maine, and so it was a different atmosphere too. But it never crossed my mind that we would be in this day and age. You know, Obama was president.
Yeah.
We thought, oh, we've really,
Oh, no.
you know, we've really, you know, made a leap here into some other place where we're moving forward. And the backlash, I think, of that has driven almost everything. So,
Well, and that is actually a backlash, and it's fear driven, I think.
yeah. Oh, definitely fear driven of the other, you know. And listen, what I say to people, and I obviously have to talk about this a lot, is that I, as a transgender person, don't ask you to understand what it is to be transgender, just like I don't ask you to understand or expect you to understand what it's like to lose a child, which I have.
Right.
You know, I know that no one can understand my experience if you haven't been through it. Now, being trans is a complicated, and I'm not going to explain it, but it is a complicated thing. You know, it's not something that you say, oh yeah, I get that, I understand how that works.
Yeah. No.
It is physiological. It is. I know I was born the way I was because I was talking to my mother about it when I was 3 years old, which is all in the book, which we'll talk about.
Yes.
But so I know, and everybody, and I don't speak for all trans people. Everybody has their own experience, but the actual fear of the other, and we all know, whether it's race, religion, ethnicity, you know,
Orientation.
politics, you know, gender, you know, whatever the other part of other than being white, let's get real, you know, and at least in this country, or in the Western countries, you know, it's you know, it frightens people to think that there are ideas and conditions and ways of being that aren't what you think they should be. And look, you know, it's very simple. You don't have to understand it. Like I said, I don't ask people to understand it, but try accepting it. Accepting that somebody other than the way you are exists in the world. And I'm not doing anybody any harm. I try to do good, just like you guys do. We try as human beings, most of us, we try to be of service. We try to be good people. We try to make the world a better place. Most people are like that, right? I'm not stepping on anybody's toes. I'm not taking anything away from you.
Well, when you look at somebody, regardless of how they appear, regardless of the color of their skin, regardless of any of those things, you should just be seeing another human being and respond as a human. And it troubles me greatly that some humans diminish other humans for whatever reason. I mean, we're all on the same team, you know.
That's right.
It's just because,
as Rushkoff says,
I think human nature is the need to subjugate. Everyone has to have a scapegoat. And I think it's maybe from being a kid and getting in trouble and being like, I didn't do it.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know, but that's just kind of seemingly like, to me, what the one thing that humans all have in common in this, that we're eager to throw blame on someone else. But that aside, I really want to talk about your book.
Yes.
Yeah, let's get into some meaningful stuff.
Yeah, we can spend a long time beyond the hour that we have, or however long we have on all of this stuff.
Well, maybe we'll do that sometime, because we've got some folks here that are who are activists. There's the book.
There's the book.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. See that picture?
At that.
Hold on, I got to get the mic out of the way.
And later on, sometime in the future, we'll schedule a 6-hour Plutopia Live to talk about everything else.
Great.
That right there.
This is the book.
That is so. I saw
That's
that.
fantastic.
I just have to say, it is so sexy. It is like
I love that cover.
so androgynous, and I was blown away. I love that picture.
Yeah, that's me. That is me.
I know.
I keep losing the cover here. That's me in 1978.
That's so cool.
And
Bunking out.
Cosmic
book-
rock star.
Uh-huh.
The book is called TransElectric, My Life as a Cosmic Rock Star. And in the prologue of the book, you find, well, let me say this. So the title TransElectric is mine. Somebody said to me, well, you got to have a title for the book when I started writing it. And I said, oh, TransElectric. I mean, it just came out of my mouth. And then I knew I had because I'm a titles person. So I knew I wanted a subtitle. And my wife said, Tanya said something soon after that, oh, it should be Cosmic Rock Star. And I said, and I'll tell you why in a minute. I said, no, I cannot call myself a rock star because I never made it. I mean, I was, almost a rock star, almost famous, whatever, all the stuff in my mind, and I did all this stuff, but I couldn't claim that. And the prologue of the book is all about her naming me a cosmic rock star and how that came to be. And halfway through the book, writing halfway through the book and looking back on my adventures in my early career, and then into even the middle part of my life. And I went, holy crap.
You're a rock star.
I was a rock star, because of all the people and all the situations that I went through. And so I claimed about halfway through the book, I said, okay, I'll do it. I said, so it'll be TransElectric, the life of a cosmic rock star. And my publisher said, got to be my life as a cosmic rock star. So that's how it came to be. And yeah, and by the way, I've kept 50 years of journals, 50 years.
Wow.
And the journals are a blessing and a curse.
Right. I threw mine away. It was too much.
Which which you can understand. And you'll also read about in the epilogue, you'll read about the journals, but there are journal entries all the way through the book. And without the entries, without reading my journals, which really affected me, and again, you'll read about it in the epilogue, reading from the time I was 20 years old until now, or until I finished the book, helped me write this book in an immediate way. I mean, there were conversations in there were people in there were incidents in there, circumstances in there that I had either forgotten or had remembered, but not all the details of. So they really, not only are there excerpts from my journal in the book, dotted throughout the book,
so cool.
all the way from beginning to end. So it literally dated, July 14th, 1975, I met the Rolling Stones.
Wow.
That's in there. Or June 14th, sorry. And
it's almost an anniversary.
It's all in there. And so you get these immediate moments of my life, but then I was able to go into them at a much deeper level than I would have if it had just been from memory. So
yeah.
So the book is pretty detailed and pretty immediate, and it's about me. It's my life. I mean, obviously there are many other people in there, and Elton John did the forward.
I wanted to say, God, it says he's a very good friend of yours, and I have to ask you, what is that like?
So I like to say, and the whole story of how I met him, he's actually in the book quite a bit, especially in the beginning, and he's read it, by the way.
Oh wow, that's so good. You traveled, you did exclusive work.
I toured with him, and how I met him and how I got to meet him, and I'm not going to give the book away because it's really one of those stories. The meeting of Elton and getting on the road with him is one of those. It doesn't happen in real life. It's a movie moment. And so I'm not going to give it away. I'll have to, your fans will have to buy it and read it. But
that's
Elton,
all right.
But in 1975, I met Elton, and I did end up going on the road with him for 3 tours over the next year and a half. And what I talk about that, and the details of being on the road and backstage, and some, I tell tales, but I tell tales from my point of view. I don't tell tales about him. They're about me with him.
Right.
And because we're still friends, and I don't do that anyway. But the best part of the story is that we're still friends.
That's so cool.
That is almost 50 years now.
That's crazy. Do you call him Ellie or LT or
no? I call
Sir
him
Elton.
Nah, I call him Elton. When I write him an email or a text or something, I say E. But no, I call him Elton, and he and is I had another name that you'll read the book, but he calls me Cidney now. When I transition, he had a nickname for me before I transitioned, but since I transitioned, he will not call me Sid, which is what everybody calls me. He has to call me Cidney.
I like it,
and I think it's his way of respecting me.
Absolutely,
that's very English there.
Yeah.
Well, it's also like you said. I mean, when before you were Cidney, anybody could call you Sid, and it just transitioned. So, like, just along with everything, it was natural. But for him to actually enunciate, I think you're right. It is definitely sort of it's definitely respect.
Well, he didn't call me Cindy even before. There's a nickname in the book. You'll find it. But he has been a friend, a real true friend, for almost 50 years. We've kept in touch. I don't see him all the time. Last time I saw him was at Dodger Stadium in November. I did see him there. I went to a couple of the shows and saw him backstage. And of course, the pandemic put a lot of stuff on that. But I see him when I can see him. But we're in touch frequently by email, and
he wrote the foreword.
And he read the book already. I had to send it to him, so I was like this because
that's so cool.
Because I wrote about it.
Going through your journals must have been a bit of a joy and a bit of frightening. I've been going through some of my archives. I'm a hoarder. I have everything I ever recorded, ever wrote.
Me too.
Back behind me and around me, and I went through the thing of, oh, that was really cool, and I'd listen to something else and go, good Lord, I need to burn that right now. Did you encounter those moments like oh Lord, did I really do that?
More than that. I again, this is all in my epilogue. The book ends in 2016, the end of the book, but the epilogue is the next 5 years. So, but what happened, Scoop, was that I actually went, and of course, this is the middle of the pandemic. We've all been in the pandemic for 6 months or a year. I start writing the book. I, like many musicians, an artist lost a lot of opportunities. I was sitting at home. I'm a trans person, so I was feeling, the Trump era, and I was just feeling really, really isolated. Let's put it that way. And I started reading my journals, and I started reading about the old me and stuff that I did. And I really got depressed. I got depressed because I thought, oh my God, I'm the same person I've been my whole life. And, what have I done with my life? I went through this whole thing. Of course, I'm writing about it. I'm reading every nuance about my old life. And yes, listening to old stuff. And I have every tape, by the way. I have every cassette tape. I have every work tape. that I've had since the mid 70s. You know, they're all down in the basement. And I had to dust off the journals, and I opened boxes that were 30 years old that I'd
Wow.
never read before.
Wow.
And some of it was inspiring, like, wow, I did that, I did this, that's great. And other of it, which was me processing certain things that I did, and my drug addiction. I mean, I've been sober for 46 and a half years. I've been clean and sober. Let's put that right there. So a long time since I was young.
Yeah.
But those few years that I really was in which I talk about in my book, when I really had a problem with addiction, they're very hard to read. That was very, very hard to read. And some of the choices I made, some of what I did, you know, where I ended up, and I wrote about it all. I mean, what a fool I was to write about all of that stuff. But it helped me write the book, which I think makes the book more immediate, more visceral, more real. And by the way, Susie, I am going to have my journals burned at some point. Now, talk about storing and archiving. I'm getting, I don't know if the word is inducted or put into, but the University of Southern Maine is taking all my works, as they call it. In the fall, they're having an event that honors me and puts me into the LGBTQ library they have there, but also the
Wow.
Oh, that's
music
great.
school.
And also
It's a big deal for me. It's a big deal for me. And personally, it's part of what will be my legacy, but my journals will not be there.
no,
They will not be among them.
there are some things that are not meant for others.
Yeah.
But as far as why did I write it down? I mean, for me, I needed to exercise all of that shit. I mean, I started keeping a journal when I was like 18, all the way through when I was 30, and then I stopped. But I would lug these things around everywhere.
Yeah, me too.
I had this horrible, horrible breakup, and I was like, you know what? I gotta start over. And I just threw all of that shit away. And it was I've since then I haven't really been I don't journal anymore, which is not good, but
well, it is what it is.
Yeah.
The funny thing for me, and I'll just stop here on the journaling, is I kept these journals until July of last year and I kept mine. I also had started in high school, but I lost the ones in high school. On traveling or something. I left them somewhere or something. And so I lost the beginning ones. So the ones I started with were at 20 that I have still today. But last July, I was out in California with my buddies, Wendy Waldman and Deborah Holland, and we were playing some music and doing some recording and stuff. And I'm sitting on Wendy's deck out in Los Angeles. And I had a brand new journal because I, go through volumes. And I stopped. I had written my book. My book was done. I had handed it in. And I went, nope, I'm done.
Yes,
I'm done. I don't have to do this anymore. I'm done. And it was almost like I had been keeping journals to write the book.
Yeah.
And
to be able, and now you're able to, because you've done it for so long and you've just gone through it all again. It's like you learn how to deal with all that shit without having to write it down now.
Yeah.
And it's like, and it's literally, I love this. It's literally the beginning and end of a new chapter.
Totally.
Book.
I think all of us go
but
through
you're
that.
right. It is a new chapter for me. This whole thing is a new chapter for me. I mean, writing the book, and I'll say this, I know I'm the author, and I did, by the way, write every single word of the book. It's mine. Nobody ghost wrote it. I didn't dictate it to anybody. I wrote the book. It's my writing. And between and doing, and I'm very proud of the book because, I'm a songwriter. I know how to put words together. I'd never written a book before. I wrote a show. I wrote a one-person show, which helped frame it. So and I've written prose, I've written some articles and stuff like that. But so writing the book was a whole new thing, and it was daunting for sure in the beginning. But once I got into it, I got into the flow. But I'm proud of the book. And now I'm got this new record deal, which I didn't expect at all. It was a surprise. They came to me, and so that's coming out. So between the book, and so far the book has gotten, I mean, it's been out 2 days, but there's always prior stuff happening, and it's getting a lot of praise. And I do feel like, I mean, the pandemic was kind of the epitome of the dark before the dawn. And we're not talking politically, because we could go back into the dark if we start talking there again. But for me, at this time in my life, it feels like a new beginning. And
that's so cool.
I could not be more grateful. I couldn't feel more blessed, if you will. I'm not a religious person, but I am spiritual in my own little way. But I do feel, listen, the love in that room. I had a release party, not party. Did a reading, and then as I said before we started, Rodney Crowell was kind of the moderator, kind of came up and had a conversation with me after I read some and played a couple songs at Parnassus Books here in Nashville, which is Ann Patchett's bookstore, wonderful author, great bookstore. It was jam-packed with people. There were over 100 people there. There were people from my past who are not in the music business, but there was, like I said, Lucinda Williams was there, Rodney Crowell, as I said, Mary Gaucher was there, who's a dear friend of mine, Jamie Harris, Jim Photoglow, who's a wonderful songwriter, Gary Nicholson from Texas, and Barbara were there. There was just a lot of people there, but the love and support I felt. Now, look, I'm still a trans person. I'm a transgender person. And even though I knew them for 30 years, most of those people, not all, but most of those people I've known for over 30 years, because I was a Nashville songwriter for a time in the 90s, and have been coming here and living here now. But I just felt so supported by the community and lifted up. And
that's so great.
So I do feel, that I'm going to take advantage of this time and see where it all takes me. It's a new adventure.
Yeah, hey, are you gonna do an Audible?
It's done.
Yes.
I did it already. I did it already. I do not know the release date of it. I know that it's finished because I finished it last month in Los Angeles. And so I'm not sure when it's coming out, but there will be an audio book. Yeah.
Awesome. And I love it when the author reads it. That's always so much better.
Yeah, I was like, well, who's going to read it? Some man who has a baby, or some woman who changes into a man? It's got to be me. Who's going to talk about Elton? Who's going to,
right?
I mean, it had to have been me, and it was.
That's fantastic. How fun. I can't wait to hear it, because I'm really I do that more, I find, than read anymore. I'm walking around the house.
Yeah.
And okay, so is there any way that you would play us a song from Walking Through This World? And my favorite, of course, is Genderline.
Yeah, I'm gonna, at your request.
Thank you.
My voice is a little rough today, people. So, so this is the Genderline, and it is from the new album, Little Pieces, that's coming out on Kill Rock Stars Records soon.
Okay.
On vinyl too.
Can't wait. I'm good.
If you were me, what would you do? You look in the mirror and it's not really you. You fumble around for something to wear. You feel invisible, you're not really there. Would you think you were crazy and out of your mind? You're not in your body, you're living a lie. There's a train in the station, there's a car in the drive. They can't take you over the gender line. No, they won't take you over the gender line. Knew about a young man in my little town, kept to himself and didn't run with the crowd. Wicked secrets locked up in his head, vicious monster hiding under his bed. There was no reason in anyone's mind. What would possess him to take his own life? There's a train in the station, planes lined up to fly. They couldn't take him over the gender line. They couldn't take her over the gender line. Are you a boy or are you a girl? It's an easy answer in a binary world. There's a boat in the harbor, planes lined up to fly. They can't take me over the gender line. No, they won't take me over the gender line. I had to crawl over the gender line. Are you a boy or are you a girl?
Oh, it's brilliant.
Thank
Brilliant
you.
song. I love that song.
Thank
I
you
love
so
it.
much. And I just want to say, for those of you who may be interested in my music, that song, first of all, it was inspired to come. I never thought I would write a song. I'm not a topical songwriter. You know, I'm a love songwriter. I write songs about my life. I write songs about the people in my life, my feelings about the people in my life or that I've lost and stuff. So I don't write political songs. I don't write topical songs. But when I was filming this film, um, called Invisible, which was about gay singer-songwriters in Nashville,
Mm.
and I was kind of the token transgender person, but I was considered a gay songwriter back in the day in Nashville. When I was doing that, the director said to me, you know, you got to write a song called The Gender Line, because it's a line from one person show. So there's
Ah,
there's steps that the gender line is taken.
got
It's
it.
a line from my daughter says, Mom, here's the gender line. You've
Yeah.
always been on just this side of the gender line, not the female side. Now you're
Yeah.
moving over to just this, the other side of the gender line.
Ah.
So anyway, he said, you've got to write a song called The Gender Line. I said, no, I'm thinking, that's not going to happen. I don't write songs about topical things. I'm certainly not going to write a song about being transgender. Anyway, he got me thinking. And then I had to drive from Maine to New Mexico, where my wife was living at the time before we got married. And on the way there, I looked in the rearview mirror. And the line came, if you were me, what would you do? You look in the mirror and it's not really you. And the whole song just came. And I got back to New Mexico, and so I had written the song. And then the director took my part of the film, the feature film that was in there, and made it into the documentary short, and he named it The Gender Line. And
cool.
then I made the song that I had written inspired me to write the whole album called Walking Through This World. So there is a trajectory to this song, and it's the only song on the album that's coming out that is directly related to being about being transgender, but there are other songs on there that kind of allude to the fact, but you wouldn't know it. So
that's so cool. And so
yeah.
when does that album, when does it come out?
Well, I'm not sure, to be honest with you. I think it's going to come out this fall. It's definitely coming out this year. We literally, this all just kind of happened. And the single is called Not With You, and it's a duet between the wonderful singer-songwriter Beth Nielsen Chapman and me. We co-wrote the song and sang it and recorded it, made a video. That's going to come out sometime in the next month.
Okay.
And with the video, and then the record is going to come out on vinyl. And so and literally it just started happening. So I would say it's going to come out this fall.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, it's called Little Pieces.
Little Pieces. And this is the re-release, which I also think is really cool, because I don't know how many people are getting the opportunity to do that who had albums release during the pandemic. That's so great that you get to do that.
I think so.
And then it's the same year that your book is coming. I mean, it's almost like it could be a soundtrack.
Yeah, it's I think they both will hopefully feed on each other. And I got to tell you, Beth Chapman, if you don't know Beth Nielsen Chapman's music, she is an incredible singer-songwriter. And the duet between me and her is a unique thing too. So between a trans man and what the kids call a cis woman,
woman.
And
well, she's also a cis Texan.
Yeah.
So I do know her. I mean, I know her music.
Yeah. So
I'm telling you got a connection to the Texas.
Texas. And I don't know if I'll get there anytime soon. I'd love to play in Austin again. So
that'd be so awesome.
That would be so great. Awesome. Yeah, I would love to come down. I haven't been to Austin in a long time. So
well, you got to hurry before the Republicans take over. They're floating this idea that we become a district. This was a new bill that someone I want to say Frisco, whoever's the representative there, he wrote up a bill that wants to turn us into a district, which would disenfranchise us, obviously.
Yeah, well, they did that. They did that with Nashville. It's still a city, but they gerrymandered our Democratic congressperson out. So now
maybe the Supreme Court.
Yeah. Well, we don't know. And but what they did in Houston already with getting rid of the election board.
Oh, the school board, they have nationalized it basically, and they kicked out everyone that actually was voted in by the people in Houston, and they're replacing it with good old Republicans.
Yeah,
well, Christian conservatives.
Yeah, well, that's the the fear, I think, is the Christian nationalism now. So we shall see what happens. But I fluctuate between wanting to run and hide on my little island in Maine, where I have a tiny little shack up on an island 12 miles off the coast of Maine.
I promise you I won't be knocking on your door now that I know where it is.
Yeah. So my dilemma is always, do I just go up there and sit and look at the ocean for the rest of my life, or do I stand in who I am and what I am and do what I need to do, which is to be a voice. And the truth of the matter is I can't go anywhere. I mean, I can move out of Nashville if I want, but it would be a disservice to the people I love, and that includes my community of the LGBTQ plus community. It would be a disservice for me to be quiet. So I have to kind of be loud.
I think the experience of the pandemic and the lockdown inspired a lot of people, when they finally got out of it, because I had stayed in touch with a lot of musicians that I worked with over the years, and they were depressed. But when they finally were able to get out, they realized, they had a second chance to go and do stuff. And a lot of them have done some great stuff. And sometimes it takes that kind of an experience to motivate you to go out and do more.
Absolutely. And I'm not sure I would have really sat down and written a book without the pandemic. I mean, even though I was depressed and went through a difficult time in the pandemic, I probably wouldn't have written a book if I had been out there doing whatever I was doing. And so it gave me that opportunity. It didn't make me feel better until it was done.
Right.
But I think you're right. And, the older I get, and I'll speak for myself, and Wendy Waldman, my cohort in the Refugees, says this too. And by the way, the Refugees, Wendy Waldman, Deborah Holland, and I, let me not forget. Hold on 1 second.
Get that sunburst guitar. It's gorgeous.
I would be remiss if I didn't say this is the Refugees' new CD called California.
Okay.
And it's getting a lot of good play, and it's really great. And it's a celebration of the late 60s, early 70s harmony bands, Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, and so on and so forth.
Is that particular CD and little pieces when it comes out, where do you as an artist prefer people to purchase their music?
So on our website. So for me, when Little Pieces comes out, it's going to be distributed more than on me. I'm signing a record label, so they'll have the rights to that record. The book right now you can buy on Amazon or barnesandnoble.com or your local bookstore. You can order it. So and I like supporting local bookstores. If you do buy it on Amazon and you like it, leave a review.
Right.
The album, the Refugees album, you buy on our website, therefugeesmusic.com.
Okay.
And because it's our own label, and my new record is going to be available everywhere. And the vinyl, you'll have to
check local stores.
I don't know yet. I guess.
Right.
I don't know yet. But
does it, I guess my question is, do you get more money if we buy it from your website than you would say if I got it on Apple iTunes?
My records, yes.
Okay.
Yes. And I have other CDs. I mean, I have several CDs so my website is Cidny, Cidny Bullens, Bullens.com. And yes, I prefer that you buy my records from me, and you make a lot more money. I mean, we don't make money from Spotify or anything else.
What's the difference?
You mean you're not getting rich from Apple Music and all that massive royalty they pay?
Unbelievable. I was talking with someone, actually a music business lawyer today, who we had coffee, he's a friend of mine, and we were talking about the stripping of the funds of musicians in the last 20 years. I mean, we just have lost revenue hand over fist. And unless you're, the Rolling Stones or, Elton John or Brandy Carlisle, or, you go down the line of people who are really, really, or established artists like Rodney or Emmylou Harris or, anybody. It's, and then you can go into the pop world and name all those people. But if you're somebody like me, who has made a living my whole life from music, but is not, a household name, it's tough. It's a tough one. We get royalty checks for 78 cents.
Oh God.
$6.02 for, $26 is like, wow, and I don't say that as a to be a victim or anything, because, this is a, and I mean, I get bigger ones sometimes, but it is a travesty what has happened to the revenue for just everyday musicians who work their butts off in this world with the streaming. And if you go on my website and you buy a single for $1, you're doing me a heck of a favor. And instead of stealing it off Spotify, you're doing me a big favor by buying my music if you like it. And I think people think today that music is free, that we don't deserve, or they don't even think about, oh yeah, well, I can just listen to that and I'll tape it on my whatever, or digitalize it on my phone, whatever it is. And they don't think how much effort it took into writing that song, how much it cost to record a song, and how much effort it takes to go out and play.
Oh God, no.
And at my and beyond my level too, even people who are, who are higher on the ladder than me, but who are not, again, superstars. The work that is involved, it's like any job. It's, we put a lot of effort into entertaining audiences.
Yes.
And we don't get paid for it as well as we should.
Yeah, the economics have changed a lot. If you remember back in the 70s, people could make good money from the recordings. And even the superstars have realized the only way they're going to make the big money is performing.
That's right.
Guys, because the way they've structured the recorded music business now, it's all in favor of somebody, and it's not the musician.
Yeah. And the thing about, like, CDs were going out, right? They were going, everybody said no CDs anymore. Well, they're coming back in because people who come to my kind of show, or the refugee shows, or even a Mary Gaucher show, or Lucinda show, they want the physical copy of the record. They may not want the vinyl, although we all know vinyl is going up, and people are buying vinyl.
Cassettes are coming back.
Cassettes are coming out. The vinyl sales, I believe I'm right. Vinyl sales in 2022 were higher than CD sales.
Oh yeah, much higher. And
so the vinyl is coming back, which is great by me. I mean, vinyl sounds fantastic if you have a relatively good turntable. And now mastering engineers, and there aren't enough vinyl plants. That's why there was this big backup.
Back is
I think
waiting time to get vinyl pressed is, it's pretty large, because they did away with a lot of the old machines.
Yeah, well, they're coming back, and the young people are starting to come back. And that was one of the reasons why I couldn't tell you when the record was coming out,
right?
Because we're waiting on time for the pressing. And But it is getting quicker now. I've talked to a couple mastering engineers who I know who do vinyl, and they tell me that it's getting quicker now. They're catching up. There are new vinyl pressing plants opening, and because it's a much better way to listen. It's much softer on the ears than
Right. It is. It feels
than
a
that.
lot better. Oh,
So-
Lord.
We have reached the end of the hour.
all right.
Thank you so much, Cidney.
This was so fantastic.
Excited. I'm so excited. I'm gonna get the book, but I can't wait till the Audible comes out. I love doing the Audible. Now wait a minute. How much do you get on Audible, and can I get it from your website?
No, I don't think so. No, I don't, and I don't have books either. I mean, if you call me and say, if you get on my website and say, send me an email and say, I want a signed book. Yes, I can sell you one, but
Okay.
I only have a few myself. I suggest you go to the bookstore, come see me when I'm doing a book reading, which I'll be doing around the country in bits and pieces. Have me get a bookstore in Austin. I'll come.
All right,
So,
we'll do it.
Oh, wow. That's a
Yeah.
good bookstore here. Yeah.
I'll
yeah.
call book people tomorrow.
Good.
Right
Good.
on.
I'll come and I'll do a little showdown. We'll arrange something.
Well, we look
great.
forward to it.
Thank you so much, you guys. You guys are awesome, and I'm very happy and proud to be here.
Thank you,
so
sir.
much.
All right.
Bye.
You can stay in touch with Plutopia at plutopia.io. On Facebook, look for @Plutopia News. On Twitter, it's @Plutopia. This is the Plutopia News Network, 20 minutes into the future.